Good morning all and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. I'm just heading into Circular Quay Station. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a day and an absolute awesome sunrise. I can just tell it's still, it's clear, it's rained the past couple of days and been breezy, so it's all primed to be an awesome day. Anyway, welcome to Friday, and once again welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. What I'll do is I'll go on a walk and talk, and I'll take you down there to the International Passenger Terminal, where I hope to get a glimpse of this magnificent sunrise. So let's head off without further ado and make the most of this glorious Sydney morning and see where it leads us. So the book summary that I'm going to indulge in this morning, with your permission, is written by an author named Yuval Noah, and the book is entitled Homo sapiens, a brief history of mankind. So a really powerful book written from a different perspective, which looks at human beings and where we started, how we evolved, and what we're trying to achieve as a human race. And once again, it's one person's perspective, and but it has some interesting material in it. So we'll expand on that and see what we can learn. Anyway, what Yuval kicks off with is he kicks off with saying that the human race, or human beings, commenced or have evolved over three key periods or time frames, and he describes these time frames as being, first, the cognitive revolution, which happened about 70,000 years ago. Then mankind had a thing called the agricultural revolution, which occurred about 10,000 years ago. And the third level of evolution is the scientific revolution, which occurred about 500 years ago. But the scientific revolution and the scientific revolution and the religious revolution occurred at about the same time, or maybe within that period of the past 2,500 years. He enlightens us and tells us that the very word Homo sapien actually means wise man, and we look at what makes human beings so unique and so special in the world. And he says that the basic thing, the one single feature which separates us from every other animal or living organism on the planet, is that the human brain is relatively large compared to body size. And in perspective, just to give you some numbers to mull over and think about, he says that the human brain takes up about 2 or 3%, represents about 2 or 3% of the human body size. But believe it or not, this absolutely blew my mind. He said that the human brain uses 25%. I'll repeat that. The human brain, which is only 2 or 3% of our body mass, uses up 25% of the energy. Wow, that is pretty awesome. So as you can understand, the fact that we've got a human brain is the unique or key differentiator between humans and all other animals. And with that human brain came some capabilities, some capacity and capabilities in terms of having a unique language which enabled us to communicate, cooperate, collaborate, and to talk things over, to be able to talk and communicate and understand clearly about things that we've never seen, touched, or smelt. Now this is quite powerful. This is really quite interesting and powerful, and I just found it perfect, a perfect topic to kick off our Friday with. And not only that, we can also think. We can think abstractly about things like religions, myths, legends, and fantasies. And our brain, the human brain, the wonderful human brain, which Tony Buzan, I went to a seminar years ago, and Tony Buzan, who was the head of Mensa and the father of mind mapping, actually said that the human brain is the closest thing to infinity. He made no qualms about it. He said that the human brain has the potential in terms of synapses that it can do that are more wondrous and more voluminous than the stars in the universe. So let's just once again understand that the human brain is something that has set us apart from all other living creatures, and the human brain is the closest thing to infinity. And he then goes on to identify a couple of interesting things in terms of how humans socialize and how humans group together. And he said that chimpanzees, they can group together in groups of 50 or more, but humans have the capacity of grouping together in groups of at least 150 and be a coordinated group of about 150. And with that 150, they can communicate clearly, they can act as one, and collaborate and communicate and cooperate and use their own specific language to be able to see, think, hear and do, and act as one, as I said before. And then he goes on to talk about another thing that happens in groups, and it's prevalent in humans, that we can live an imagined reality, and it is reality because the entire group believes it. So if everybody thinks, sees, smells the same thing through their mind's eye, then it's considered to be an imagined reality. And by being an imagined reality, it's something which is very, very powerful, and as we said, very unique to our human species. The author then goes on to talk about the fact that we can live as humans in a dual reality. We can live both a physical world and an imagined world, something which animals are not able to do. So to live both an imagined and a physical world. And we hear quite often that humans are quite unique in that the human mind, the brain, in many ways can't tell the difference between something that is vividly imagined and something which is real. So that, whilst it could sound as a disadvantage or trickery, in another aspect or another way, is very, very powerful, because it can be used to your advantage, because through your imagination, through your mind's eye, through your thinking, your ability to think, you're able to generate behaviors and habits that can lead to your dreams, your goals, and be able to create your future to respond to things, to once you have a stimulus, to think about what to do and to act appropriately in order to gain a certain outcome. Whereas most animals, or in fact all animals in the animal kingdom, are just reactionary. They just act on instinct as opposed to being able to think and to generate options. So that's once again pretty awesome to know, and something which is really empowering. Human beings also are the only animal, the only living organism in the world that can actually conduct trade. And if you look back at history, what enabled the Greeks to become powerful and to influence the world in many ways was that they were traders, they were seafarers, and they worked and were the linchpin between the East and the West, and were able to gain from their interactions from different cultures. So once again, powerful stuff, awesome powerful stuff. Look at those flags up on the bridge there, just lying listless. It's a glorious morning. The sun is coming up. We've got a little bird down there just waiting to feast on some fish. So we'll just continue along our merry way with our Jim's 5 a.m. club. And the other thing I learned the other day, which is quite powerful, is that human beings are the only animals in the world that actually can laugh, have humour, can laugh and can get that sense of happiness. The other thing he talked about, which I absolutely cracked up laughing about because it defines us to a T, was that there is an instinct, our instinct to gorge on high-calorie food has been hardwired into our DNA. So whenever we get an opportunity and we see a lot of high-calorie food around, then it's a natural thing for us just to gorge on that high-calorie intake, just to prepare ourselves for famines. So interesting. He also said something which is very important as well, is that the people of yesteryear, the people of previous generations, our ancestors, whilst social beings, they were social beings, and you'll understand what I'm about to say here, had very little privacy. They grew up in villages where they lived in close proximity to another, a family. The family would stick together, would work together, would be together. The village, everybody would know everybody's business. So there was very, very little privacy. But whilst that sounds like a bit of a disadvantage, the big advantage was that by not having privacy, they also didn't experience loneliness, something that a lot of people of our generation are struggling with. It then goes on to talk about the fact that with luxuries in our lives comes dependence, and you become very dependent on the luxuries that come into our lives, and he talks about the ratchet effect. So we need to be mindful that while our lives have improved over the years, that improvement has been at a cost, and as you become more dependent on luxuries, whilst you gain certain freedoms, you lose other freedoms as well. He talks about the main purpose of writing was to record numbers, because the human brain isn't all that good at remembering numbers. We're better off at remembering social events and things which create chemical reactions in our bodies. And that writing How about this one here? Writing. Writing changed the way humans think, because we became more categorical. We categorize things. We put things into groups, and we define things. And that was mainly due to the fact that we adopted writing as a major part of our communication and social framework. He also says that consistency, whilst it's important, consistency is the playground for dull minds. The important thing in life is to have variability, because it keeps us on our toes, it keeps us thinking, it keeps us looking for answers, for options, for solutions. Whereas if your life is consistent, nothing much changes day in, day out, then you become fat, dumb and lazy, and you open yourself up to problems. The other observation which comes out of this book, which is a powerful observation, for me at least, is that there is a push for a one world culture. And you can see it amongst the youth of today, regardless of which country you go to throughout the world. The youth dress the same, act the same, have the same sort of thoughts, listen to the same sort of music. It's pretty interesting to say the least. He talked about the importance of empires, where one country or one culture takes over another culture, because through that takeover you get a cultural exchange, and art, music and governance help the culture grow, develop and expand. He says that the three unifiers of mankind are money, empire and religion, and that the thing that we've learnt across all the ages is that money can't bring you happiness or satisfaction, and the richer you are, the less satisfied you end up being, which is another interesting and powerful observation. And another couple of more points. He says that all suffering in our lives comes from craving, when we crave certain things. And two more points on history. He said that while history in hindsight is really, really obvious how it came about, back then when you were living history, it was impossible to predict. And the last point that he comes up with in his book is the fact that getting richer, economic progress, education, art, cultural revolution, all of these things are great because it eventually benefits everybody. But in terms of happiness, you can't rely on your external environment to give you a self-fulfilling happiness. You need to do that internally. So thank you very much once again for joining me on Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's been a beautiful morning, a lovely walk and talk, and hopefully we've picked up some new points, some new things to consider and think about throughout the day. I want to finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, let's have a think about what our role is on this planet as being Homo sapiens, given that the word Homo sapien means wise one, and to use that wisdom, that brain mass that we have, to channel our thoughts in ways that can empower us, make us better, stronger, more productive, and enable us to stay connected. And the big point that came out of this book here was that with less privacy comes contentment. So for all those people who want to be individuals and want to protect their privacy, you've got to understand that the more private your life is, then the more lonely and isolated you'll become. So it's a stark warning for all of us that while we value privacy, the question you've got to ask yourself is, why is privacy so important to you? When at the end of the day, connection, love, and being part of a community, and knowing everybody's business and everybody being in each other's lives seems to be the way of fulfillment. Anyway, take care. Thank you very much, and I look forward to coming to you again tomorrow from another location with another message of empowerment. And may we get this through this beautiful Friday and head into the weekend and make the most of every moment that comes our way. So thank you once again. Yassas from Jim's 5am Club. Daleme, and bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Yassas. Kisses to everybody. Bye.